everybody to the Medicare Supplements versus Medicare Advantage webinar presented by Senior Marketing Specialists and Senior Marketing Specialists University. So again, we've done this webinar several times now, and again, it's one of my favorite webinars because we've never done the same one twice. And what's really interesting, what's going on in the market right now is I think right now we're going to look back on this webinar in a year and think like, wow, how things have changed in the past year. We are currently in a flux in the market of what's happening, particularly in the subjects, Medicare Supplements versus Medicare Advantage. 2023 AEP was crazy. And the reason for that is because Medicare Advantage plans hit 48% market share of individuals who are Medicare eligible. 48% of them have a Medicare Advantage plan. Just 3 years ago, that was actually like 36%. And it's actually not as much as they thought. They actually thought it was going to hit 50% last year. It's almost certain to be 50% this year. In addition to that, Medicare Supplements, who was 26% market share, has actually dropped. It's the first time ever that Medicare Supplements have lost their market share. Before, Medicare Advantage was growing, but it's because it was taken from other avenues. They were taking people who were on group insurance plans, or taking from people who were on other methods of insurance and growing that way. Well, now MedSup is going down for the first time ever. So it is a really interesting year, but and a lot of critics, a lot of people have a lot to say about what they think is going to happen to the Medicare supplement market. So I'm excited today to show to you our outlook and share with you guys exactly, a lot of answer some of these questions. So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. Today, we're going to talking about number one, agents, which is still a question that I get all the time, which I don't understand, is should I need both? Do I need to offer both Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage plans? Are both of them something, or can I just be a med sub shop? Can I be a Medicare Advantage shop? Second question we're going to answer is what is better for my clients? Because that's what I'm going to sell. Whatever one's better for my clients, that's the one I'm going to go with. Right. And number three, what's better for my business? At the end of the day, you have to make an income in this business. If you're not making money, then you're going to have to close your close your doors because it has to be profitable at the end of the day. So we're going to hope to answer these three questions today.
I feel like sometimes that third question sometimes is what we see, especially people who've been in the business for a long time. You have a whole lot of knowledge, but there have been different reputations for different products throughout the year. Like, oh, Medicare Advantage was evil for a while, and then Medicare supplements were too expensive. There's always something. So sometimes people like to stick in a certain camp because they're like, I'll have more time. I can focus on one. That'll be better for my business. But really, I mean, you'll learn that maybe not.
Oh, exactly. And I think it's always a good idea. I remember I was actually doing a training one time. We were working with with a call center that was just kind of getting started. And we sat there and they were saying, we've always been med sup. I'm going to do a Medicare Advantage, training. They're going to get into the Medicare Advantage training market Medicare Advantage training to get into that market. And I sat down, I was at the front of the room. And the first thing I said was, guys, Medicare Advantage plans are not bad plans. And immediately, that had been the first thing I said immediately, like, not tables weren't getting flipped, but there was an uproar. Everybody was like, that's insane that you think Medicare Advantage plans are not bad plans. And then fast forward to this year, they were the #1 Medicare Advantage producer. So again, it's all about making sure, answering these questions. And I think the first one being, do I really need to offer both? And the easy answer to that is abso-freaking-lutely. You have to be able to offer both Medicare supplement plans and Medicare Advantage plans for the ideal reason that one plan is not better than the other. They are different types of coverages for different types of consumers. And in your office or in your home, however you see clients, you will come across both types of clients, one that should go the Medicare supplement routes and others that should go the Medicare Advantage route. So you have to be able to offer both.
Yes, I think that that's the basic understanding, kind of taking your opinion out of just the general products, MedSup versus Medicare Advantage, and really focusing on, can I protect the way that they need to be protected in their lifestyle and their financial, their finances and everything. Every person that walks through this door, generally speaking. So I think that's the main thing. That's the first question you should be asking whenever you're setting things up. Why should I offer both? Because I want to help anybody that walks through the door. I don't want to have to send them down the street to my competition.
Well, here's what's going to happen. You're not going to send them down the street because you're thinking, I know what's best for my clients. Medicare Advantage plans, Medicare, insert name here, Medicare supplement plans are the devil. Who would ever write that? Here's the thing. Your clients are going to hear about them. Your clients are going to have questions about them. When the market shifts, because it's going to, it did shift, it will continue to shift. It's always going to ebb and flow.
Right.
So whenever if you're a med sup guy and you're starting to say, I'm never going to sell Medicare Advantage plans, when your clients start hearing about the benefits of Medicare Advantage plans, you've already said you didn't talk to them about it. So you lost credibility that there's a whole other option that you didn't cover. If you did talk about it and convince your client not to get it, then when they want to try something out, they're not going to go to you because you've already kind of stood your ground on where you stand on it.
Yeah.
They're going to shop around to find somebody who does offer those options. So just making sure that you're not, what might help you sell something tomorrow could potentially hurt you in a year. So making sure that you do offer both of those solutions.
Yes, absolutely. Especially just, in an industry where things are constantly changing, and it specifically talking because I feel like you see it more where people are really gung-ho on Medicare supplements and are really worried. I think that's why we keep kind of talking about it. You don't always see it the opposite way, but sometimes Medicare Advantage plans the lines are being blurred is what I'm trying to say, between what they offer, pros and cons of this and that. So you're going to people are going to come in with the commercials, with all the stuff. They're going to come in with questions. So it's all really just depends on what they need.
Well, I've been doing this for 10 years. I spent the majority of my career trying to explain that Medicare Advantage isn't bad.
Right.
I am now having to explain why Medicare supplement plans are bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where I'm spending a lot of my time now, is people explaining why the heck would I sell a Medicare supplement.
Right.
So it does switch. You need to make sure you're not hurting yourself for your future sales, because if you're only sticking to one side or the other, that's not a sustainable practice to make sure you can keep your doors open in 30 years or more to come.
Yeah. And I even think, sorry, one more thing.
No, please.
And I even think, even if you have your opinions on one another, sometimes we hear situations, maybe you've been in a situation where it's like, oh, they let their med sup lapse or something like that. Having Medicare Advantage might not be your first option for them or their first option, but they're not allowed to get a Medicare supplement anymore because they let it lapse, so they have to put them on. So it's even just protecting, even having a backup plan for whenever your first plan doesn't work out. Or
you have to have different solutions. Yeah. You have to have multiple solutions. Next question. What is the best option for my client? And this is, I get a lot, and I actually, agents who are new to the market, I don't get this question as much. It used to be my newbies would ask, should I be a med sup? Should clients go Medicare Advantage? Turns out now it's a lot of my veteran people are basically saying well, what is the truth now? What is better for my clients? And the answer is, honestly, you have to be an advisor and you have to ask the right questions. There is no if-then statements. If they this, then they go to that. If they like this, then they go to that. There are no if-no or if-then statements. You have to make sure you do full benefit analysis or full comprehensive analysis on your clients and help them guide. My idea is that you want to present both options. You want to show them the pros and the cons of both options and guide them to a solution, guide them to what they want to be with that. And you need to make sure you're asking the right questions to kind of help guide them on that journey of what option is right for both their lifestyle and their wallet. You can't just look at their budgets. You can't just look at your lifestyle. It's absolutely a combination of both to decide which is better.
Absolutely. And there will be some things. I think one of the biggest portions of our webinar that we have seen changes almost every single time is whenever we do get into, generally speaking, this is sort of what a med sup client generally looks like. This is what, and that, like I said, the lines are starting to blur with all those different things being added to, new benefits being added to Medicare Advantage plans. It's these lines are kind of getting a little bit blurred. So it really does have to do with, you have to know your stuff. You have to know both things and be an advisor, because people aren't going to know what all a Medicare Advantage offers to them whenever they walk into your door. And it might be a whole lot more than what they think. So they might decide, whatever it may be. But
I would also, one thing I think agents get a bad rap for, and I think something that we can all find ourselves a little guilty of. I mean, we're commission based, right? Somebody comes into my office and says, hey, don't worry about it. And I know you have an hour scheduled for me, but I want a Medicare supplement plan G with this drug plan and and it's really hard not to go, check.
Mhm.
Perfect. You knew what you want.
Sure.
Great. I have 45 minutes back in my day. It's really hard not to do that, but unfortunately, people don't know what they don't know. And the average consumer aging into Medicare is not any more educated than they were previously, except they have the illusion that they are educated. So always remember, even if somebody comes in that they're not new to Medicare, maybe they bought insurance elsewhere in the past, or they're new to Medicare and have done hours and hours worth of research, never skip this step. If they come in and say, this is what I want, then you say, perfect. Let me give you some information to verify this decision.
Mhm.
And then you give them the whole, dog and pony show. But never skip that. It is tempting, but never allow yourself to skip that step, because at the end of the day, those people are coming to you for verification. And if you don't know the information, then you didn't verify anything and you didn't provide a value or service. So why would they come back to you?
Right.
Right.
And that even makes me think of like during AEP, how we say make sure that you are not completely skipping over your Medicare supplement clients
Yeah,
either,
girl.
because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they're missing out on. Also, same thing, making sure that your Medicare Advantage clients saw their ANOC. Make sure that you're going over them with them, so that
Mhm.
way they know what's changing, because sometimes the littlest things can make the biggest difference in people's, whether they use the benefit or not, because we were just talking about that the other day,
Mhm.
but yeah, so always make sure that you're doing that. Even don't look over the Medicare supplement clients during AEP and all those sorts of situations, because
Absolutely.
they really just don't know what they don't know.
Absolutely. So let's dig into what kind of client do we typically see lean more towards the Medicare supplement route. So when we see people go Medicare supplements, it usually has something to do with this. First of all, I'm going to start with they travel often. Maybe they have grandkids in New York, grandkids in California, and they're here in Columbia, Missouri. That's somebody who you can expect to have quite a bit of travel with. And with the Medicare supplement, we know networks are not a concern. Now, there is a bit of an asterisk next to that, and that's because this used to be the major selling point differentiation between Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage plans. Medicare Advantage plans have caught up with the ability to travel. We'll talk about that more on the next slide going into Medicare Advantage plans. But Medicare supplements are the simplicity of, as long as the provider accepts Medicare, they're going to accept the Medicare supplement. So there is no second thought. There is no research prior to make sure that doctors and specialists are in network. So travel opt-in is very key. Live in rural areas. We see that a lot because, again, Medicare Advantage plans and the ability to provide rich benefits of Medicare Advantage plans have everything to do with population density. We can talk about that again on the next slide. But we see rural areas maybe not thrive as much with Medicare Advantage plans. Number one, the availability oftentimes just isn't there. They don't have the wide array of options. And number two, in rural areas, you'll typically see premiums, higher co-pays, deductibles associated with plans compared to those of more urban areas. And again, that all has everything to do with population density. The more dense a population is, the more CMS will give a Medicare Advantage plan to manage their insurance. So rural areas, we typically see Medicare Advantage plans kind of lack.
Which I feel like we are starting to see that a little less and less each year.
Absolutely.
There's like everything that I like look at here on here. I'm like, I know by the time that we do this webinar next, one or two of these things are going to change.
Always.
But yeah, and I even like think about, we're both you're even more rural.
I'm very rural.
Very tiny. Yeah, exactly. I'm from a rural area, bigger town, rural area, but we don't have a hospital anymore there.
Right.
It shut down. So now people have to go, 45 minutes this way, an hour this way. And so if they are able to just kind of see whatever doctor they can with a Medicare supplement, that makes their life so much easier.
Absolutely.
So I also think about people who live in not even our Medicare Advantage, but just simply, like the networks.
Yes.
It's just so much easier to see whoever you can and not have to figure out, well, how far do I have to drive for this? Or, whatever.
Yeah, where I grew up, our nearest, we had a hospital. We were in the middle. There was a hospital an hour and a half south of us, a hospital 35 minutes east, a hospital 40 minutes west, and everybody had horror stories about all of them.
Right.
And so it was like, well, don't go to, okay, I'm going to name names. Sorry for my agents who are from there. Don't go to Hannibal. This happened to my cousin.
Yeah.
Don't go to Macon. This happened to my sister.
Yes.
So you want to make sure those rural areas, they have fewer ability, but more options.
Yes.
So making sure that they're able to go to the doctors that they want to go to. Now, this one I want to be a little bit careful of, and that's visit the doctor often. This is something that we used to say, hey, if you're going to be high utilization, if you're sick, get a Medicare supplement plan because you pay the premium. You don't have to worry, depending if on a G, N, or F, you don't have to worry about the deductible. So just pay that. You can budget it either. I will say we have to be careful with that message that sick people go med sup route, because we as agents are single-handedly killing the Medicare supplement market because of this. Because the healthy people go to Medicare Advantage plans, they don't have as many claims. The sickies go to Medicare supplements. In fact, Medicare supplement companies are telling us that their biggest losses are actually coming from the turning 65 market. People are aging on a Medicare and waiting to do those major surgeries or major, events for them to get on Medicare, and that tends to be the turning 65, which is this huge shift in the last 10 years. It used to be the healthy ones with the turning 65 market. So we're kind of starting to see that shift happening.
Interesting.
So making sure that like it can't be like, oh, you're sick, go to a Medicare supplement, because you're killing the Medicare supplement market. So the idea there is what I like to say, instead of saying like if you're unhealthy, unwell, don't focus so much on how often they're going to the doctor as much as making sure like if they have multiple specialists, if they have multiple doctors, if they have multiple, all these things, they need to go to the med sup for the ease of receiving care. That's really comes down to the ease, because again, the copays and deductibles with Medicare supplement with the Medicare Advantage plans are almost nothing now. Those have really diminished what we're seeing there. So it's not going to hurt people who are unhealthy to go the Medicare Advantage route, but you have to double check those networks. And so if they are somebody who has multiple doctors, multiple networks, multiple specialists, they need to go the med sup route just for that ease of receiving care.
Yes. And speaking of the T65 market, one thing that we used to see a lot is all T65ers go on Medicare supplement because, it's easier. And that used to kind of be the, you can switch after that. It's a lot easier than a Medicare Advantage to go on a Medicare supplement. But we are seeing, though that is still sort of true, we are seeing a lot more T65ers just go straight into Medicare Advantage.
That's why those numbers are so high.
Exactly.
48%.
Yes. So interesting. But that used to be a very classic, like I put all of my 65ers on a Medicare supplement.
And let me tell you again, like this webinar has never been the same twice, because the market is changing dramatically and rapidly. Major significant movements, and it's happening months at a time, not years like we've seen previously. So just things to keep in mind. And the last thing that we kind of see being like a key point to a Medicare supplement client is they don't like change. They want to shop for their Medicare plan. They want to stick to it. They don't want to have to shop every single year for it. They don't want to have to change their providers. They don't want to have to change their networks. They like what they're doing, and it's worth them to invest to be consistent in how they're receiving their health care.
For sure. I know several people off the top of my head, just in my family, that I know for a fact will value that so much. No, I want to know what my benefits are year after year. I don't want to have to hassle with claims and like all that sort of stuff. I just put me on it and then let me be.
Listen, I was actually in a conference last week in Denver. And this was the question: why do people go med sup? And I'm talking, and I had the microphone in my hand. And I'm literally like, I had an epiphany. I'm like, I am the med sup client you were looking for.
Yes.
Because I am lazy.
So lazy.
I am so lazy. And I'm sitting there talking like I don't enjoy shopping for insurance. I love insurance. And like whenever I have to shop for my own insurance, I'm like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this. Right. If I could just say something like pay this much and you don't have to do this again, I'm like, done. Or if you have to say you don't have to do the research before you travel to see who's in network. You don't have to, you're going to get set the expectations. That's something really important with Medicare supplements. If you set the expectations like, hey, you're probably going to see an annual rate increase. And if you're in an attained age state, you'll probably see two, one for when you get older and then another one for the book of business. But the book of business one's always low in an attained age state. But if you set those expectations, I am good. Yeah. It's worth it to me to not have to mess with it, to not have to mess with claims, to not have to track my billing, not have to track anything. Just say I'm paying a premium. The rest of it is handled.
Exactly. Yes. And there's going to be a lot of people. And one statistic that we talk about a lot is you're saying that they're showing that the baby boomers, they are the demographic that like greatly values convenience.
Yes, more than any other demographic, the baby boomers love their convenience.
Yes, exactly. So that might be a key thing, especially is when do baby boomers end?
I think we have 5 more years.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Boomers.
That makes sense.
I think it ends. I think the youngest baby boomer right now is like 55.
Okay.
So even longer than that. I
Yeah,
think the
like
youngest,
10-ish years.
10 more years. I
Yeah.
think maybe 58. I don't know. The youngest baby boomer is in their 50s, though.
Got it.
So yeah, so we have a lot more opportunity to go. But again, Medicare
more
supplements, guys, this is where we kind of see people thrive in the Medicare supplement realm. It is me. I am a Medicare supplement client.
Yes.
If you know what, I don't know what Medicare is gonna look like by the time I'm there. But if I'm writing something today, my personality is a med personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
So the next, let's kind of, and again, guys, if you guys have any questions about what we're talking about today, please let us know. Put it in the questionnaire box. We're more than happy to ask them as you have them. We're going to move on to Medicare Advantage, though. Like, what are some really key points that a Medicare Advantage client, why do they go that route? And again, kind of, you're going to see kind of the other head of that coin that we talked about with Medicare supplements. I can explain a little bit more. Clients who live in a highly populated area, again, Medicare Advantage reimbursement rates happen based on a lot of different factors. There's a lot that goes into Medicare reimbursement, but primarily going to be how populated is that area. So higher populated areas. For example, if you look at a plan in Las Vegas, Nevada, they have $0 specialist visits, $0 copays on doctors, $0 hospital stays,
Right. Yeah.
0 premium. So those are just like the golden child of benefits compared to where I grew up, Shelby County, Missouri, where most plans are going to have a premium. Most of them are going to have pretty significant copays. So high populated areas just have incredibly rich benefits.
Yeah. And I mean, I even think about like some of the bells and whistle benefits where it's like, if you have a gym membership and you live in a smaller area, you're like, okay, well, there's like 2 gyms for me to choose from.
Yeah.
But then in that, you might have a lot wider, opportunities to be able to use those extra benefits and stuff like too. So not even just like the medical stuff, but all the extra bells and whistles. I mean, that makes a lot more sense in a highly populated area.
Let's talk about those. And I do want to say, I am going to preface this with, I have some updates to the Medicare Advantage Medicare Advantage plans, what we're going to see going into 2024. So at the end of all of this, let's get through this, and I want to talk about like what can we expect to see in 2024. That being said, those bells and whistles, we see again, kind of to put this to the next point, does not visit doctors as often. What we see Medicare Advantage plans look like, or they put a lot of money. How do Medicare Advantage plans lose money? People making claims, people going to the doctor because they're sick, not their checkups, people going to the doctors because they're sick, they need to get, something taken care of. So Medicare Advantage plans see that and they say, you know what, we're going to put a lot of our investments into keeping people healthy. So they have incentives for things like gym memberships, eye doctors, teeth doctors, dentists.
Teeth doctors.
Doctors,
oh, yes,
the dentists.
Can't forget them.
Yes, they have a ton of reasons for people, or give a ton of benefits to people who are proactive about their health. And it benefits them because then they have less money in claims, and it benefits the consumer because they get these really awesome, shiny bells and whistles, including those Part B rebates that a lot of people are talking about. So people who are invested in their health and interested in going to the gym, interested in utilizing those benefits, tend to go towards the Medicare Advantage route.
Yes, absolutely. It's a lot more shiny. In a way, I kind of feel like at the end of the day, I'm a perfect MedSup client, but I feel like if I were in that office, I'd be like, ooh.
Oh, it's the pretty shiny.
Yeah, it's like,
it's the pretty shiny.
And whether I'll utilize them or not, that's beside the point.
The best example of that is our best friend, Silver Sneakers. We talked about this in the Monday sales meeting. United Healthcare did 1 year where they said they have to look at their plans and say, what this money costs us. There's this benefit. Silver Sneakers costs us a bunch of money. What's the utilization? It was less than 0.4% of people on United Healthcare actually utilize the gym membership. So they said, okay, we're just not gonna have a gym membership. That costs a lot of money. We can put that money elsewhere. Yeah, and then there was outrage. Outrage came from not including. I know, for not including that gym membership. So even individuals who are not going to use the gym membership, I paid for a membership for 3 years and didn't go on.
Remember we talked about this? I still am. My husband just said this week, he was like, all right, so you're going in there and canceling it, right? And I was like, we'll see.
I can't even go to the gym to cancel the membership. That's how I take it personally. But the idea of this is, again, like, it does get people's attention. The shiny benefits, the new and shiny, will absolutely work and get somebody's attention. So we like to see people who actually utilize those benefits going that route versus the Sadie and Olivias of the world that are just like, pretty, I want it.
Yeah.
We also see, again, Medicare Advantage plan does a great job of having these little niche markets. And two of the best niche markets you can have are individuals who are Medicaid eligible, who are considered special or dual special needs plans, and people with veteran benefits who don't necessarily need the drug portion of their benefits. They want the new and shiny. They want to make sure that they can go to the gym, take over-the-counter medications, travel to and from appointments. They want all that stuff, but don't want to deal with, the Part D side, which oftentimes if a plan has a premium, it's tied to the drug side. So no premiums, you still get the bells and whistles, still pay the same commissions as normal Medicare Advantage plans. So if you're like, again, we always say, like, if you're looking for a niche in the market, Medicaid and veterans, untapped market. I've been saying this for the last 5 years at least. We need more people to focus on Medicaid. We need more people to focus on veterans. It's incredibly underserved.
For sure. You'll hear that from literally any carrier that we talk to. They're very much like, this is a gold mine. People are sitting on there's a gold mine. Just
it's literally fish in a barrel.
Exactly.
Who ate gold?
At the very beginning, who ate gold?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Happy fish.
Gold eating fish.
Fish in barrels.
I like it.
And you have shotgun.
And you
are we painting a picture for you?
Do you got it?
Do you get it?
Yes. At the beginning of this, we talked about how you want to be able to help anybody who walks through your doors. Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage is literally just like the base level of that. If you really want to level up a little bit, start helping VA and start helping DSNP clients, because like we said, all the things.
It's wild.
Fish in a barrel.
And the last one, ask about national networks. Again, we're seeing Medicare Advantage plans take huge strides in a lot of areas that were very differential factors between MedSubs and Advantage plans. Advantage plans are catching up. Networks are no exception. So most of these large, you're not going to see these with the smaller regional carriers, but you are going to see those with the big kids in the sandbox, UHC, Humana, Anthem. You're going to see that Aetna, you're going to see that they have these things called national networks. And what a national network is I'm here in Columbia, Missouri, Boone County, and my doctor that I go to, Dr. Halabula in the Boone County network, he is in my network, my insurance. But if I'm going to travel, and let's say I'm going to go to Florida and stay a week there, if I want to go to California and stay a week there, right now with my insurance, if I had to have anything outside of an emergency, I had to pay full cover for that. What the national network says, Olivia, don't worry. As long as, this plan, say I'm on a United Healthcare plan, as long as this provider accepts United Healthcare, they'll accept your plan. It's no longer plan specific, it's no longer county specific. They just have to accept or be in the United Healthcare provider network so you can travel. So it really is opening the doors. Now, it does require a little bit of legwork to make sure, does this provider accept United Healthcare as a whole? But it really does open up the doors and allows you to travel with ease, knowing that you will have somebody who will be able to see you in those networks.
This could very easily be the one thing about a Medicare Advantage plan now that makes people make the switch.
I think it's a huge
reason. A lot of times
make the switch.
That was the biggest reason, like we said earlier, biggest reason why people would choose a med sup. Well, I have grandkids here and grandkids, or we have an RV, we're all around. But hey, and then they can finally I can finally get a Medicare Advantage because it's so much easier.
No matter where I go. Peggy, absolutely ask a question. She says, can I ask a quick question? Peggy, you can ask a long question.
Ask all the questions.
Ask all the questions. We're here. We're getting actually ready, pretty close to wrapping up. So any other questions, comments, concerns, let us know. But Peggy, while you're asking your question, we're going to go ahead and move on to which is better, or were you done on the Medicare Advantage?
I was done.
So which is better for my agency? And a lot of people ask this. Oh, Peggy asked if we can unmute you. Peggy, it works better if you type in your question into the question box. If you type it in, we will read it. And if it's something that's I would rather, it's a long question, I want to talk it out, give us a call after the webinar. We're more than happy to have a conversation with you. So either way, but again, love the interaction. Keep doing this. I type really well, but when I show typing, I do this.
Yeah. It's like the cat gif where they're at the computer.
That's how I type.
Yeah.
Which is better for my agency? Huge misconception. Medicare Advantage plans have higher commissions than Medicare supplement, just in general. So for the most part, we'll get into that. But so a lot of people are Medicare Advantage plans are best for my agency.
Right. That's fair.
That's understandable, but
understandable,
it's wrong.
Yes.
Understandable is wrong. So let's break this down a little bit. Medicare supplements, okay, the average lifespan of a Medicare supplement is about 7 years, meaning when somebody gets on a Medicare supplement plan, they do not move from that supplement plan, change, shop, anything for 7 years. That means that is 7 years of requiring little to no maintenance from you. Because remember, on a Medicare supplement policy, all claims and issues are handled on the back end, so you don't touch it. That plan on average is safe for 7 years. And honestly, the lifespan of commissions are usually 1 to 6, 1 to 7, or even lifetime commissions, where a lot of Medicare supplement companies are going through. That is a very stable plan, very stable market. In fact, most individuals, people say, well, what about the rate increases? Oh, hello. They'll say, what about the rate increases? Guys, that's research, though, that people don't even start shopping or even thinking about shopping for a new insurance plan until that increase hits about $25. And we don't necessarily see that within the first at least 5 years based on the rate increases history that we have had. So Medicare supplement plans, though the initial commission may seem lower, it is more stable, it stays in the books longer, and it requires less upwork front from you. On the other side of that, Medicare Advantage plans, we're seeing Medicare Advantage plans average lifespan, it's going up, but currently it's about 5 to 6 years. So it is the Medicare Advantage lifespan is going up. The commissions are higher. However, we are seeing that Medicare Advantage plans tend to be more time consuming and tend to require a lot more back end work in order for you to retain that business. You are more involved in helping them set up their gym, helping them set up their dentist appointments, helping them come up with claims and for in and out of network services. And because people are more involved in their billing on a Medicare Advantage plan, the insurance agent gets more phone calls and gets more service work associated with Medicare Advantage plan. So not as stable. They're stable now. Let's talk about that here in a second, why Medicare Advantage plans are not going to be this stable going into 2024. But we do see ultimately what it comes down with. Both do require an annual appointment. We do recommend that. And both do require year-round maintenance. Medicare Advantage plans significantly more. So it ends up about coming out in the wash. Both of them, when it comes to time equals money, they end up coming out about the same if you do like a profit loss analysis.
And I mean, if you're offering both, you're a lot more like if you're not worried about, well, which one makes me more money. I mean, if you offer both, then you're a lot more referable anyway. And
Yeah, that's a good point.
lot of really, a lot of our top agents, their agency relies very heavily on referrals. So, I mean, offering both as smart financially,
it makes
fantastic. It makes
it's
the most
like,
sense.
are you going to offer, if you had a grocery store, can you offer Coke products and not Pepsi, or Pepsi products and not Coke? No, you do have to have both of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want to get into what we can expect to see at a Medicare Advantage in 2024, and then I want to answer some of these questions coming in. So just so we all know, 2024, the last few years with Medicare Advantage plans, we have just seen them. They started here, then the next year the benefits got richer, the next year the benefits got richer, the next year commissions got better, benefits got richer. So just to give you guys an update, Medicare Advantage plans, just so you all know, 2 significant things are going to impact Medicare Advantage plans going into 2024. Well, actually 3 pretty significant things are going to affect Medicare Advantage plans going into 2024, which is going to, in my opinion, negatively affect benefits. Then you're not going to see so much. What's the easiest way to kind of play with money? It's going to be those bells and whistles. The over-the-counter, the travel, the Part B reimbursement. What basically, I think you're going to see some drops in that going into 2024. And here's why I believe that. Number one, they've already announced what the increase in reimbursement is going to be going into 2024 from CMS. CMS says, we're going to give you this much money this year. Last year was an all-time high at over 8%. CMS said, we're going to bump your money 8% going into 2023.
What is it this year?
2%. 2%. It's just a skosh over 2%. And that is the lowest it's been in a number of years. Prior to the 8%, it was 6 and it was 4. So we're going to see the lowest in several years that CMS is saying, we're going to go ahead and give you some extra money. And so that's going to be a pretty significant hit to those Medicare Advantage plans.
So you're going to see a lot of people not a lot of people, but you'll see scenarios where people are like, get me off this because this doesn't have the benefits that I want anymore.
You might. I'm not going to say the worst thing you could ever try to do is predict human behavior.
Sure.
I mean, it's people aren't logical, they're emotional.
Yeah.
But just know that the way we talk about Medicare Advantage plans are not going to be what we've seen in the past 3 years, honestly.
Interesting.
The second thing that you're going to see really affect the money that Medicare Advantage plans get, which is going to affect the benefits, is going to be those star ratings. This is actually one of the all-time lows for companies providing star ratings. We saw huge hits in companies that we've seen plans that had 4-star ratings, 4.5, 5-star ratings. Some plans were hit as bad as losing a star and a half. And the amount that the CMS decides to give to these particular plans, a big part of that is based on star ratings. So lower the star rating, the lower the reimbursement. If you increase star ratings, then you actually get more or a higher percentage of that. Decrease it actually doesn't even it's not like a 1-to-1 ratio. If you lose a star rating, you actually lose even more of that compensation. So plans took significant hits to star ratings. You're going to see them receive less money from CMS. Oh. The number three thing that you're going to see going into 2024 is something that started in January and is actually going to kick up in July. And that is the Inflation Reduction Act. The Inflation Reduction Act is basically legislation that is going to design to try to lower the cost of medications and health costs going into affecting everybody, but primarily the seniors. In January, it started by saying all insulins that are covered by Part D are going to be capped at $35. Well, Medicare Advantage plans include the Part D coverage and have to swallow it. Compared to Medicare supplements, they don't include that. Medicare Advantage plans do, so they have to figure out a way on how they're going to offset the cost of capping those that insulin at $35. Starting in July, Part B medications, those Part B insulins, are also going to be succumb to the $35 cap on that, which affects Medicare supplements, but also affects Medicare Advantage. So Medicare Advantage plans are getting hit twice with that. Interesting. By 2030, you will see Medicare Advantage plans or prescription drug plans have a $2,000 maximum out of pocket. It's either $2,000 or $2,500 maximum out of pocket on prescription drug plans. That's by 2030. And so Medicare Advantage plans that include drug plans are going to have to find a way to pay for those costs. Because we do know it's way, right now the true out of pocket is like $7,500. So that's going to be a significant chunk of cash that insurance carriers are going to be on the hook for. Wow. So stay tuned for that. But again, what we're used to seeing these Medicare Advantage plans get better and better and better and better. Some of the flagship carriers this year are doing everything they can to just kind of stay put. Wow. And not go down in benefits. So that's why I'm saying we're saying this now. Who knows what this is going to look like in 6 months whenever carriers, they're already filing their benefits for 2024. But these are things that we have to consider. And so if you're somebody who's came in, Medicare Advantage is the greatest thing ever, I would make sure you still have meds up in your pocket. It's doing this right now. I think we're going to have to see that even out. So answering these questions, Peggy says, I have a United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plan client moved from Columbia to the Ozarks in an out-of-service area. He called his Medicare Advantage plan to disenroll and he had an FEP. UHC automatically enrolled him into a new plan in his area, but he wanted guarantee issue for meds up. UHC won't send him the DSNP letter. Peggy, give us a call. I think, Peggy, you have your United Healthcare through us. Our team can kind of help walk you through that. But as we'll have to kind of go into when did the plan go into effect, to see your options are. But yeah, Peggy, that's a really specific one. We should be able to work on that and kind of figure out what happened there. Yeah. The next one, Fred, good morning, Fred, says, with a Medicare Advantage plan, do you need to get a referral from a primary doctor to see the specialist? Fred, that was kind of a preliminary thing that Medicare Advantage plans were strong at, was that you had to have a referral every time to see a specialist. PPO plans, there's there's PPO and POS plans. They do not require specialists. A PPO does not require a referral to a specialist from a primary. And some Medicare Advantage plans, again, the POS ones, a lot of Medicare Advantage plans are saying, hey, this particular plan does not need that referral. So it's not a blanket statement for the HMOs, but for the PPOs, again, you don't need to see a specialist for them. So that is, guys, Medicare supplements versus Medicare Advantage plans. I'd be really curious to hear from you guys if there is something that we did not cover that you're like, hey, I really wanted to hear more about this. I really wanted to learn more about that. Now is your chance to ask. Sadie and I are going to hang out here for a while to see if we can answer any burning questions that you had. Tim says, did you say the MOOP on PDPs are going up? So currently, Tim, there is no maximum out of pocket on a PDP. As we know, the levels of PDP, they have their deductible, their copay, the donut hole, and then catastrophic coverage. By 2030, the Inflation Reduction Act is actually making it to where there will be a maximum out of pocket on prescription drug plans. I'm pretty sure it's $2,500. It's either 2,000 or 2,500. But they're saying basically that there isn't one now, there will be a max amount of pocket for prescription drug plans. Peggy says 2,000. Awesome. Thank you, Peggy.
Also, she asked if we could send the slides. We will be sending out a recording of this. If you're watching the recording, hey. But we will be sending out this recording, so if you missed any of it, you can go back and watch it, as well as some resources that we talked about. So there'll be that will be a lot more helpful than our slides.
Yeah, the slides really told you nothing.
Yeah.
To be fair, by design, you have to listen to us. Daniel says, if you have been on a med set for several years, you have to prove insurability to move from Medicare Advantage plan outside of open enrollment. Great question. So Medicare supplement plans, we know you can switch Medicare supplements any time of year, any day of the year, it doesn't matter, as long as you can qualify via health. You have to go through underwriting. But if you can go through underwriting, you get any plan you want. You don't have to wait for a time of year to do so. Medicare Advantage plans are types of plans that you have to have elections for. And so there are basically about 20 situations to where outside of AEP, which is the annual enrollment period, outside of AEP, there's about 20 different what I call life circumstances. They're called special election periods, SEPs. There's about 20 of them that if a client finds himself in this life circumstance, they're able to change plans, switch plans, or to enroll in a plan. Some of those are going to include moving outside of the service area. Service area most of the time means county. They move out of or moved into an area where there are different plans available, or they lost credible coverage, or they lost their eligibility or gained eligibility to Medicaid. So if you have questions on that, Senior Marketing Specialist does have a special election toolkit to where you can actually go through and kind of like a follow your own adventure. You answer questions, it lets you know what the election is. Medicare Advantage plans never have health underwriting. So it doesn't matter if you're 99 years old with end-stage renal disease, you are able to get a Medicare Advantage plan just like a marathon runner who is 67 years old. Gary says, what about the co-payments on Medicare Advantage plans for tests, therapies, surgeries, and more? Again, that absolutely exists. You'll have to look at the summary of benefits of each plan to kind of figure out what are the co-pays for those plans, but those change every single year. So some plans you'll see will have little to no co-pays on these procedures, on blood transfusions, things like that. I will tell you the most likely, keep in mind as well, Medicare Advantage plans have max amount of pockets. And so a lot of people, if they hit their max amount of pocket, it's typically because they're a cancer patient. And so if you do have somebody who is worried about cancer, stroke, heart attack, or other serious conditions that will max out those benefits, not max out the benefits, but help them hit those out-of-pocket costs,
in the hospital a while.
There is absolutely other insurance options, especially for somebody who you're giving is enrolling in a low premium plan. You better have some other stuff like hospital indemnity and cancer insurance, short-term care insurance. You better have some other stuff there to supplement them receiving such a low premium. Because always, guys, keep in mind, the biggest rule of thumb, there's always exceptions, but rule of thumb, lower the cost, higher the risk. Medicare Advantage plans are low cost, low premium, higher risks for co-insurances and deductibles. Medicare supplements, higher premiums, lower risk. You're less likely to receive a bill on a Medicare supplement plan.
Which is why traditionally they say that, which we're trying to move away from, but that's why traditionally they say people who are going to the doctor more often, med subs can be a good idea financially because they are paying all that money up front.
Exactly. They can budget it.
Yes.
Compared to a Medicare Advantage plan, it's hard to budget.
Exactly.
When you are paying nothing. So making sure that, again, it's always good when you're doing a benefit analysis for a client, it's always good to be holistic and make sure you bring up cancer, dental, vision, short-term care, home health care. There's so many things to help cover those costs that original Medicare oftentimes doesn't cover.
Yes, or just giving them extra money for those things.
Is there a requirement to obtain pre-approval before getting care under a Medicare Advantage plan? It depends on what you're talking. Are you talking about, short-term care? Are you talking about rehabilitation care? Are you talking about going to the hospital? A lot of that stuff is, again, set by Medicare. For example, short-term care stays require a 3-night hospital stay, 3 midnight hospital stay before they'll cover it. Other things you'll have to be able to not do your acts of daily living. So that's, if you have anything specific about like, do they have to have something pre-approved before this type of care? Oftentimes yes, but oftentimes it's the same a surgical procedure example. Yes, absolutely. But it's the same thing as like getting Medicare to approve something. It's that same process. Medicare Advantage plans, reminder, have to cover at least everything that original Medicare does, but they can also add some of these bells and whistles like max out of pockets. Peggy says, you ladies are funny, smart, and pretty too. Peggy.
Oh my gosh, frame it.
Done forever.
Does
keep
anybody
doing what
else
we're
want to talk
doing.
about how
We can talk
funny,
about.
smart, and pretty?
Nope. So that was a no. No one else
Yeah,
can
then
talk
no
about
one
that.
else.
Okay. Customer waiting to be 65 for a knee. Customer waiting to be 65 for a knee replacement surgery. Andrew, that is so common because yeah, that's actually again like what we talked about. We were sitting with the Medicare supplement company a couple weeks ago, and they said that their number one loss ratios are the turning 65 market because they wait to get on Medicare to get these really intense procedures done. So that's very common.
Yeah.
It used to be the opposite. It used to be your healthy ones and the ones that made you the money were the 65ers. I think what you're going to start seeing is less companies coming in with like these really low T65-year-olds and like really low rates for the 65ers. You're going to see less and less of that because they are the hole in the bucket.
I have also seen things about like and of course these are just like statistics that you see online and stuff like that, but I have seen things along the lines of like baby boomers have a lot of debt because they paid for their kids to go to college, and like the millennial generation is kind of whenever you couldn't just work for the summer then pay off college for the rest of the year, that sort of thing.
Right.
And so
trust me, I know.
hey, yeah, right. So hey, maybe they just are finally have been debt free for a little bit, don't have to worry about those extra bills, so whenever they get on Medicare they're like, I'm waiting for then so that way I don't have to accrue now. Who knows?
Well, and honestly, like your HR rep will tell you too, because again, Medicare coverage oftentimes is better than your current insurance, and group insurance certainly better than the ACA. It's just a better type of coverage and offers more coverage for a cheaper premium and a cheaper cost. So we do see a lot of people that'll say, and like their doctors will say, oh yeah, we get reimbursed more by Medicare than we do this private insurance. We're gonna wait, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Peggy brings up a great point. We hadn't mentioned it, Peggy. She says, agents always need to disclose the 12-month trial right period under the Medicare Advantage plan, so clients know they cannot get a Meds up unless they qualify. So what this comes down to is when people say, I'm aging into Medicare, what should I do? A lot of times, if a person wants to be able to try both a Medicare supplement and a Medicare Advantage plan, there are special elections that Medicare puts into place called trial rights. Essentially, there are 2 trial rights. There's trial right 65 and just a plain trial right. And so if a person, keep in mind, whenever the easiest time for a person to get on a Medicare supplement is whenever they are with their 6 months of getting Medicare supplement Medicare Part B. Because when they get that, then they're in an open enrollment period, no health questions asked. It's the best time for them to get one. And so a lot of people say, get a Medicare supplement plan first, and you can try that out for as long as you want. If eventually you decide to go to a Medicare Advantage plan, which does not require any underwriting, you can do so during the AEP. And then at that point, you have 12 months. Once that Medicare Advantage plan goes into effect, you have 12 months to get to try that plan out. And within that 12-month period, you find out, ooh, I don't like this Medicare Advantage plan. It's the first time I've ever had one. I don't like it. Then you can go back to that same Medicare supplement company with that same Medicare supplement plan and act like nothing ever happened. And you don't have to answer underwriting questions. You also have an election period to get on a different drug plan. So that's really handy. The opposite is not true. It's only true if you start with a Medicare Advantage plan upon first becoming eligible at turning 65. That's why it's called Trial Right 65. If you get on a Medicare Advantage plan first upon turning 65, then you have 12 months to go to a Medicare supplement within that first 12 months. If you do the trial right from MedSup to Medicare Advantage back to a MedSup, it doesn't matter how long you've had that Medicare supplement. On a Medicare Advantage plan, if you want to start there, go to MedSup, come back, you have to do it upon turning 65. So if you delay your Part B due to having other employment, you don't qualify for that. So a lot of people like to go that route. Start with a MedSup, try it for a couple years, go Medicare Advantage route. You have 12 months to find out, do you like that Advantage plan or do you want to go back to a MedSup? No harm, no foul. Once you've switched from MedSup to a Medicare Advantage, are you able to switch back to a MedSup? Using the trial right, you can. You just kind of, and if not, again, you can also, if you wait until the next annual enrollment period and that client goes through underwriting. Reminder, there's like 4 situations for a Medicare supplement where a person does not have to underwrite into a plan. Number 1 is is going to be OEP with 6 months of getting Medicare Part B. There's like 2 or 3 really slim, doesn't happen very much, guarantee issue situations, and then there are the trial right situations. So most of the time when a person enrolls into a MedSup, it's because they qualify via underwriting. Unless you're in a state that has a birthday rule and or anniversary rule, but you already have to have a MedSup in order to be able to switch those plans. And that's a whole nother webinar. And yes, we've talked about that, Ernie. On the trial right period with the MedSup, you do have to go back to that original Medicare supplement plan that you had prior to going to Medicare Advantage plan. You can't switch MedSup plans unless that plan is no longer offered in your area, and then you have a guarantee issue rule. But if you guys are running into any of that, like, again, I am super glossing over it. If you run into anything like that, call our office immediately because we know the rules inside and out. It's hard to talk about it because it's so like situational. If this happens and this little like kicker of a thing happens, then you can do this. And so it's super important to have a partner like us to be able to refer back to and be like, okay, so here's this situation. What can my client do? Because as we know in Medicare, there's a billion rules and a trillion exceptions.
Correct. Yes.
So, am I seeing any other questions?
I'm looking to see if we got a bunch all at once. I was looking to see if we missed any. Doesn't look like we've missed any. So,
but if we have, if you're like, girl, you have missed some, I haven't been answered, put it back.
Yes.
Put it back. You can tell my mom, put it back. Put your question into the chat again. We'll make sure we hit that.
Yes. Just a reminder, again, you'll be receiving this recording in the follow-up email.
Yes.
Follow-up email will have extra stuff, and you will be receiving a follow-up call. So, hey, if we do for some reason still can't read and didn't see your question, or you just don't get to it, you think about it later, you will have one of our team members to talk to about that, and you can get those questions answered. And then, of course, you can always just call into our office whenever you need help with anything. We would love to chat with you and help you out.
Awesome. Well, we certainly appreciate you guys. Give us a call, give us a shout out. Make sure you answer the phone call when our team calls you and tell him how amazing this presentation was and how you appreciate senior marketing specialists, specifically in Olivia and Sadie.
Yes.
So thank you, Tim. That's all I wanted. I'm going to frame this. Thank you, Tim. You all have an amazing rest of your day, an amazing rest of your week, and I really hope that you guys picked up some cool new ideas today. So we'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you.